Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is Jane's Garden Tea from Harney and Sons, which is a floral green tea. I really like it. I'm coming to the end of the container at this point, so I may have to visit Harney and Sons. But that's a tea acquiring tag, which we're not doing today. I'm doing the book acquiring tag. And the reason why I chose this tea specifically, the word garden comes up, and years ago, it's a little corny, but that's who I am. I said, my home, the way the lighting is, the way my situation is, no outdoor space, I don't really have the ability to keep a garden of any kind, which I think is sad. So I call my, keep buying of and culling books, etc., as my cultivating my book garden. Yeah, I know, it's a little silly, but again, we're all silly people. So yes, I'm doing the book acquiring tag, which is an original tag by Enter the Book. So I will link that channel below, or at least the tag video below. And so let's get started. I obviously do acquire quite a lot of books. You can see some of them in the background, and I will be doing hauls soon. So this seemed to be a good preview for that. And the first question is, do you plan your book purchases ahead or impulse buy? Both, because there are specifically books that I'm looking for, the title, and I say, I want this, and I will go all over the place to look for it. Um, but often I will go to a shop to browse with nothing in mind, or maybe not even a title, sometimes an author. There are certain authors I would like to have more of in my library, my home library. And so I might specifically look toward the direction if it's in alphabetical order, say in a used bookshop. But a lot of it is somewhat impulse. Like I won't specifically head out to find this, but I got it anyway. Yes, a combination. Number two, how do you decide what books to buy? Uh, it's hard because there are days, yes, where I'm completely an impulse buyer. If I'm in a shop where books are pretty cheap, it is hard to, and I'm talking about physically deciding when I'm in a physical bookshop. Some of it depends on finances. If I feel like I have a little extra money at that point, maybe I will splurge. If I'm feeling a little tight, I will take whatever books I have picked up and look at them and say, well, what do I really want? Which is probably a good idea to do even if I'm rolling in money, because, sometimes there are books that you think you want at the time. Um, Sometimes if I'm physically shopping, I will think to myself, well, what can I carry? Because if I'm at a place and I'm going to be taking public transportation home or taking a walk afterwards and I'm carrying 10 books, maybe that's not a good idea. When, so you'll see the haul that I'm going to do soon. But when my sister was visiting and we went to a bookshop that took a bit of a walk to get to, a nice walk, don't get me wrong. But um, once I had purchased the books that I had purchased, and there were quite a lot of them, it was a little less um, easy to walk around as it had been previously. So I do have to think about all these kind of things. And sometimes it really is just, do I really, really want to read this book? Number three, what is your philosophy on where you shop? Online versus in person, large versus small, physical, digital, or audio, new or used, etc. And I know that a lot of people have, I must support independent bookshops. That's, some people will say, I will not do Amazon, I will not do, whatever their big chain bookshop is. In my case, that would be Barnes and Noble, I guess. And I agree in a sense that if you can support independent bookshops, then do it. Because they, are always in danger of having trouble. But I also am a little bit of everything. I still have a love for a lot of the chains, especially Barnes and Noble, because I grew up with them, and I would hate to see them go out of business. When Borders went out of business, I was very sad. Still sad, even though I've moved on for the most part. But if I were rolling in money and I could afford to buy new books in independent bookshops, I would do that as much as possible, of course. And I do sometimes, but go there and I do buy books new. Of course, there are independent used bookshops, and I'm always happy to support that as well. But I mean, I go to one that belongs to a public library. So I feel like I'm supporting the library. But to me, it's more about what I'm looking for rather than thinking in terms of keeping businesses alive. I'm hoping that I am, but I can't single-handedly do so. So I do what I can. But I try not to get too on a mission when I'm enjoying my book shopping, because otherwise, where's the fun in that, I guess. And I do buy books online, especially if I am really looking to get a hold of them and I can't find them in the library. I will look for a copy online, which is good. Sometimes not good, because sometimes you get a copy of something that was described as one thing, and then it's not that. That happens pretty often, and that comes with a sticker that will not come off, which is a problem. And yes, I mean, when I say online, yes, sometimes I buy things on Amazon, but not always. And I do not buy that many ebooks. I don't like that so many of them cost more than I could find them sometimes in physical copy, in physical form. But I don't hate ebooks. I just don't gravitate toward them. I almost never get audiobooks because I almost never use them. I have nothing against any of these things, though. It's just, to me, it's whatever. I think large versus small meant large bookshops rather than small ones, like large chains or whatever versus small. But anyway, that was my interpretation of it. Number 4, is that where we are? Number 4, what about little free libraries? What do you think about them? Have you used one? Why or why not? I would love to have my own little free library. Where I live, I don't think it's gonna happen. And I don't think it would attract too many people anyway on my where I specifically live. And that's okay, because my neighborhood has actually a couple of them now within quick walking distance, and I do use them. I will try, because I keep trying to cull books where I can. I will try to bring books that are readable, not like books that are just awful, to these places, so I feel like someone else can have access to this book. And yes, sometimes I will take books if I see them. I did recently, in a park where I went, and there was a book by Agatha Christie, and I was like, well, yeah, free. I love it. I think it's such a cute idea. I think especially because there are so many places where there aren't a lot of, say, used bookstores. So it's good that people have this access. I do say, though, if you do have one that you actually maintain, it must be hard, because I think people do. There are people who will mess them up. So I feel bad for people who have to maintain little free libraries in places where people will do that. But if, for as much as you can maintain them, I would say, yeah, please don't put, like, I don't know, owner's manuals in there, because that's not fun to find when you're looking through a book. And please make sure that they are clean. But okay, number 5, how do you feel after acquiring a book, or I guess books? Do you share, like in a book haul or diary? Yes, I have book hauls on this channel. Sometimes I wait until I have a little more so I could show it all at once, and sometimes I will do it right after returning from a shop. It all depends. I love to share what I've picked up here. Every once in a while, I will pick up a book and forget to share it with anyone. Sometimes I will do it on an Instagram story, and that's it. And sometimes I'll do both. But I do like to share what I got, because it's fun. I do feel fun usually after acquiring books. Occasionally, I feel regret if it ends up being a book that I don't really, that I'm like, why did I buy this? But for the most part, I like it. Number 6, how do you feel looking at your books that haven't been read? Does it matter if it's currently a lot or little amount? It's a little of both feelings for me. One feeling I get when I see my library is excitement, because there are so many books here that I have yet to read or reread. So it is like the possibilities. It is great, especially when the light hits the room just right, and it feels really embracing. Like, look at me. I have so many things to read. This is great. I have a beautiful library, which I know is kind of silly, because you can enjoy reading even if you have only a few books. But I do love it. I do love being surrounded by books. I also, sometimes, because I do have anxiety issues, anything that worries me in life during a day a little bit, a tiny concern, will occasionally, when I'm having a bad night, will wake me up. Even like the smallest thing, like I didn't do this little errand and I know I could probably get it done tomorrow, but it will wake me up. So every once in a while, I will just suddenly wake up in the middle of the night when I'm having an anxiety day and go, I have so many books. How am I going to read all these books? What am I going to do? Why do I have so many books? So I feel both excited, like it's a great challenge to have all this, and I also feel like, okay, what am I doing? But does it matter if it's currently a lot or it's a lot? It's a lot. Number 7. How do you decide what number of unused books is the right amount? I try not to think about it because, I mean, I would say if I had to make a decision, it would be, can I read these in my lifetime? And when I say my lifetime, no one knows what their exact lifetime will be, but I mean, if if I were to live in this world, another 30 years, I don't know, I'm doing an estimate based on family lifetimes or whatever, you know, 20, 30, 40 years left, and hopefully those being reading years, and the amount of books I read in a year, will I be able to read all of them? That would probably be a good way to decide, one would think. Um, Number 7. Yes, that was right. Number 8. Do you have a TBR game or process for reading them? No, I don't do a game, although I enjoy seeing some other booktubers who do that, who put up like a way of picking the next book. I've thought about doing that myself, and then I'm like, well, maybe another time, because I am a great procrastinator. But it's a combination of mood reading, if I really want to read this book right now, and of course, when I do, because I do TBR videos almost every month. I did the hiatus in March because I just was feeling a little overwhelmed with all the challenges and stuff. Um, but I do tend to, now that I'm participating in BookTube a lot, I do try to see, okay, this month I'm going to be part of a group read, this month, or a buddy read. This month I'm going to, it's going to be this theme, and so I want to pick books according to that theme. But I still try to have room for mood, because I think it's really a rough thing if you're in the middle of a month and you're having a mood for something and you can't look at anything else, but you're like, no, I must carry on. That's the way to get into a slump. So I have a little bit of both. Number 9, I keep saying that, both, right? Number 9, do you have a book buying problem? If so, what is the nature of it and can it be adjusted? Yeah, I mean, I'll say it's a problem because when I say it's a problem, it's probably the best kind of problem, just to have too many books to read and running well out of space for putting books at this point. So it's a problem when one has to reckon with space more than anything, in my case anyway. Um, but I say it's a problem, but I also think that this is my thing. I mean, I do collect other things, like I collect tea tea related items, and cat hair. Um, but other than that, I don't really, everything else that I have isn't really a collection. It's just a sort of thing. But books are the things that I like to have. I know if I lived in a situation in which I couldn't own a lot of books, that I would find a way to work with that and not, not constantly go out buying books. But I do think that I could do with maybe buying fewer books every year. I know I've had some years where I've done really well in that regard. But like I said, if I'm going to have a problem, there are so many problems that people have to deal with. I would rather deal with this one. Um, yes, and it can be adjusted, because I know, like I said, I have had months where I've done a lot less book shopping, or I have had years where I've had much more self control. So, um, Now, number 10 was the tag, so I'm like I said, I'm tagging everybody who hasn't done this. Number 11 says, "Know you are awesome just as you are. Being a book lover is amazing," which I think is great because, again, I don't want to yammer on about this constantly, but sometimes, when you are a book lover and, they say it's different to be a person who likes to buy books or acquire books rather than a person who reads books. And yes, I think you can be a great reader without being someone who acquires a lot of books because of libraries, because of e-reading or other means, or because of some people who do. They will buy books and then they will donate them pretty quickly. So you don't have to be someone who is a major purchaser or hoarder, shall we say, of books, um, to be a good reader or to be even a book person. But it is kind of nice. It is kind of nice to have a library. And I think there are quite a few readers out there that just don't have the means to do so. And, or, there are other things in life that are priorities, which is good. But I do think that, a lot of people who love to read, if you tell them, okay, you can have a big house and you have a lot more spending money and a lot more space for your books, are you going to get a big library for yourself? A lot of people would say yes. And yeah, although I don't think everybody would just buy like chunks at once. I think it's nice when people do a gradual collection of books. But again, that's my opinion, and I'm again rambling. So that is my book acquiring tag. Not my well, my answers to the book acquiring tag. I hope you've enjoyed them. Please let me know um, if you have thoughts on acquiring books yourself, and if you've had different situations in life, like you own a lot of books now but didn't used to. You used to have a lot of books but you culled them big time. Especially people who move, I think houses, that is going to be a big deal. So that is all for now. This is Catherine, Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and, yes, book filled day.